So here's the second question you may be asking yourself, and that's whether the master's degree program in performance enhancement and sports psychology has a track record worth supporting. We are asking you to help us fund a scholarship. Well, first of all, as sort of a demonstration, may I ask all of the former students of Ken in the room to please stand up. Yeah. You've noticed that a number of them are up here. That is no accident. The first of those students tonight is Major Travis Tillman. He is a West Point graduate, an engineer officer in the United States Army, and a 2010 graduate of the Master of Science in Sports Psychology program at Cal State Fullerton. Very interestingly, today, just today, Major Tillman was accepted into the PhD program in higher education and organizational change at UCLA, the #1 program in this area in the country. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Major Travis Tillman.
Hi, Tracy. It's always fun to follow her. I had the privilege of meeting Ken after I came back from Iraq, my second tour in Iraq, and I'd spent 14 months over there, and my job was leading a combat engineer company that was responsible for searching for IEDs or roadside bombs. So I came back from there, and the Army decided to send me to graduate school to study sport and performance psychology, and then go on to be an instructor at the United States Military Academy at West Point. Well, they said you can go anywhere you want, and then they said, but you're going to Fullerton. It's because there was a few gentlemen before me that had gone through Ken's program, Doug Chadwick, and then another guy that I know, Tracy, and a few others know who he is, but they said you absolutely have to go work with Ken. And he had made his mark at West Point and in the Army with a few people that he'd come in touch with. So I went out to Fullerton and I met Ken, and you know, first off, it became absolutely clear, as Tracy alluded to earlier, is that, you know, he's an absolutely passionate teacher, and he's so exciting to be around. I mean, it was the most exciting 2 years that I had, and in my Army career, it was following him around and just, you know, getting to see him in all of his action. And then he brought so many real-world experiences. So, you know, I got the opportunity to sit through classes and read and everything else, but it was when he was down working with teams like, you know, Long Beach State and Santa Ana College and all these other programs where he was in the trenches working the mental game that really taught me so much. And from that, what I really wanted to talk about was he helped me dissect my experience in combat and turn it into lessons I could share with others. And some of these lessons I think are, you know, potentially lifesavers, helping people find more IEDs. And you know, every time we find an IED, we save 1, 2, 3, 4 lives over in Iraq or Afghanistan. And so what he taught me, and I'll just talk real quickly about a couple of things, was, you know, the first thing was mental preparation. And everybody here's heard him speak, and they know about, you know, having a routine and mental preparation. But for me, it was eye-opening to dissect my own experience and think about the way that I developed my own mental preparation routine, the way that I was able to take an experience like being in Iraq and going out on a mission and having to deal with everything that I was dealing with getting ready for going out on a mission, potentially, you know, very dangerous situation, and having to get big. He talks about getting big. You've heard his stories about the surgeons getting big as they're going into the operating room. And what I learned is, you know, in order to go lead my men into this dangerous situations, I had to get myself big. And it was a deliberate thing. It wasn't something that just, you know, just happened. It was something I could plan on. It was something I could do. I could take myself from being all over the place and get myself really focused down to where I was ready to go out on that mission. So mental preparation. The second thing was managing the moment. And, following him around, working with the baseball teams, it was all about managing the moment and one pitch at a time, one play at a time. And as I sat there listening to him, it became clear that this just wasn't baseball or athletics. This was, for me, finding one idea at a time and being where I needed to be when I needed to be there. So I was able to take and figure out ways to take an 8 to 12 hour mission and break it down into manageable pieces and go through this mental routine of being able to recognize where I'm at versus where I need to be, having a release mechanism, all the stuff we've heard, and then being able to ultimately refocus over and over and over again so that I could get my men to be able to find that idea that's there at that opportunity. And then lastly, finishing. One of the things I learned about him was, finishing. And for us, you go out an 8 to 12 hour mission, and sometimes it's, 4 hours into it, you get hit with an IED or you have enemy contact and you're dealing with all that, and then you overcome that and you move on, you keep going. But sometimes towards the end of a mission, you can become complacent. Just like in a athletic experience, in a baseball game or whatever, sometimes you start to speed up at the end. You start thinking about the finish, you've won, and next thing you know, the game's speeding up on you and you lose it. Okay, Packers. Well, the same thing happens in the military. You go out these 8 to 12 hour missions and you have this, you're awesome for 7 hours, and then that last hour, all you're thinking about is getting to bed or a hot shower, whatever it may be. And even though it's dangerous as anything, this happens to you. So, figuring out when does the mission end? When is the mission complete? And having that point and being able to stay focused on that point. So with Ken's help, I was able to develop a mental skills manual that I was able to share with the Army. And the Army, just like baseball and other sports, a lot of technical manuals out there, a lot of field manuals talking about tactics, techniques, and procedures and how to do everything except the mental game. So it was really cool to be able to work with Ken and talk about the mental game and introduce it to the Army and to the combat engineer community. And I'm just very thankful because I think it's hard to tell how many lives it saves, but I know that the work that we did together and what we've been able to share has saved lives somewhere. So thank you, Ken. Now for a real quick funny story. So I was at graduate school, and Ken, he gives talks and he makes it come alive by doing different things. And one of them is he'll have a room like this. Many of you have seen it, and he's talking about you can't control what goes on around you. You can only control how you choose to respond. You already know what the story is, okay? Well, he waits for that opportunity when somebody, after he talks about this, he waits for an opportunity when a cell phone goes off, a door opens, somebody gets up, and everybody's attention goes to that person, right? And they lose control, they lose focus. And then he says, hey, sit back down, let's try that again. Now everybody, hey, we just talked about this, let's see how we can do better at this. And he has the person sit down, then they go and redo it. Well, Ken took another graduate student and me to a talk he was given to some professional baseball scouts at a hotel conference room in, I don't know, somewhere around here. And we were just flies on the wall, just standing back, watching Ken talk. And he's doing this. He's going through this whole thing. And all of a sudden, one of the guys gets up and he kind of hurriedly goes towards the door. And everybody just loses focus and watches him. Ken's like, what the heck's going on? What did we just learn? And so he has the guy sit back down. Hey, sir, sit back down, please. The guy, okay, he kind of looks embarrassed. He goes, sits back down. He says, okay, now would you do it again? But before he could even say, could you do it again? The guy bolts up and he's basically running towards the door. And that's when I notice he's about to vomit. And I pull out a trash can that was right next to me. And luckily I catch this guy. The poor guy was just sick from he was partying the night before. And so it makes them come alive, and it's a memorable experience, and I'm sure they'll never forget that. I never will. But thank you, Ken, for all you've given to me, and I know Carl and Doug and all the military folk that you've worked with. They told me, please, congratulate Ken and tell him thank you from us, from West Point, and from all they've worked with in the military. So thank you.